Thanks, Dylan, for having us stop by here. You got a really cool showroom.
Hey.
Yeah, it's awesome. So we're here today, and I wanted to talk to Dylan a little bit about Timberstar, who they are, what they sell. You know, they've got a couple different things. They've got the Greenworks lawn equipment and electric bikes, as well as the KIOTI tractors. So Dylan, how about you tell us a little bit about how Timberstar got started and where its roots are? Because it's a real family business, right?
It really is. I think if you really extrapolate or really stretch the story, I think I'm technically fourth generation Timberstar. My great grandfather, sure, he was really only there for about the first week, but that's all right.
let's go with it.
The business started up in 1984. It was my dad and my uncle. They were serial entrepreneurs. They came up with this design with their father, my grandfather, for a grade printer. This is completely out of left field, right? So this is a printer that would go and actually leave a mark on a 2x4 or a 2x8 that you buy down at Home Depot. You'll see that little stamp.
Yeah.
We were building the machines that put that on there. There was no good solution, so they came up with this phenomenal solution. It left a perfect print every time.
Yeah.
And there was a time in Canada, you buy a 2x4, there was a 90% chance we were building the machine that put it on the board. So that's where our name comes from, right?
I see.
So we started in forestry like a lot of companies in BC did. My dad and uncle, they both owned a slightly different orange-colored tractor, if you will.
Okay.
And they found the quality wasn't amazing. They had really high expectations for what these things were, and they got them, and they realized the steering flopped out pretty much immediately, and it wasn't. And they got leaks here and there, and they thought, is this really what the hype was about? So they went looking for what's that heavier duty version? How do I upgrade this already pretty great tractor? And they found KIOTIs. My dad just phoned up North Carolina, tried to buy one back in 2008, and they said, oh no, there's no dealers near you, there's nothing. They get to talking, my father being a serial entrepreneur that he was, said, well, there's no dealers here, you say. So next thing you know, we're firing up with another line of business, selling tractors. We started selling a couple of KIOTI tractors, and we realized that these things are just phenomenal. The market took off. As soon as people saw these things, how they're built, and the fact that, working with a family business that really cares about you having a phenomenal experience with this machine, we really took care of customers that way, and it's grown to the point where now, since 2008 to 2025, we've now grown to be the largest tractor dealership in the North Okanagan.
And KIOTI Tractor's been around they've been building parts for the main guys for a long time or something, right?
They actually fired up in, I believe it's 1958, somewhere in there. And they started off as a foundry. So they've been basically building their own housings, their own gears for years and years and years. They built this up to the point where they said, okay, we're building axles and we're building gears and we're building engines for years and years. And they said, well, why aren't we just making the whole tractor? So they put a set of sheet metal on it, and they realized that was the last piece they needed to have an entire tractor. They started getting imported gray market back in the 80s in Canada, over in Ontario, because they were this heavy duty, crazy machine that they would actually use for skidding out in Ontario.
Okay.
They'd put a skidding winch on them and they would run them through the bush, and you could not kill these things.
Yeah.
And Dadong, their parent company, started noticing that in Canada started growing and growing with these tractors because everyone was just loving them. So they said, okay, fine. 1992 came around, we'll go to North America. They branded it KIOTI, and they became the fastest growing brand very, very quickly. They're now 0 to 100 horsepower in Canada and the US, all of North America. They're now the second largest brand.
Oh, wow.
Which 10 years ago, what's a KIOTI?
Yeah, no doubt.
Heavy built. It's this monster machine. They're absolutely unstoppable.
Yeah.
And when you see the price, you realize, wait, why is it doing so much more than everyone else when everyone else is 5-10 grand more? Once you meet a KIOTI, you can't go back. They're phenomenal machines. It's been phenomenal. The community response, really, we owe everything to them. We just wouldn't be where we are today without everyone that's been supporting us for years. So
well, and if your dad and your grandpa hadn't looked into that and wanted something better, because that's where it starts. That's how every great business starts, is someone looking for something better and not just content with what everyone has.
Exactly.
Yeah.
The phrase he kept saying, the thing that always came out of my dad's mouth was, there has to be a better way to do this.
Yeah.
We were always looking for that extra bit of efficiency, that extra in everything that we designed, engineered, and manufactured. We were always looking to critique and make better, and
how do you guys still put that into play?
We don't have a whole lot of control over how KIOTI builds things. We do get a say. They do listen really well. Certain products they've definitely tweaked when we said, hey, we're seeing this, we're seeing that. They've adjusted products, and there's actually specific Canadian versions of KIOTI's attachments for Canada from feedback that we've done here.
What about in Timberstar as a whole?
Yeah.
Is that kind of how your culture is, like always looking for a better way?
It is. Yeah,
That's
we're
cool.
always looking for gaining efficiencies, or how can we adjust the way that we do things so that your complete experience from walking in the door the first time to, buying your 80th oil filter, how do we make sure that everything along that process is phenomenal? And a lot of it comes down to our people, making sure there's someone friendly here. That's, you don't want that grumpy tractor salesman that doesn't have time for you. You want that warm, welcoming environment where you can sit down by the fire and buy a tractor.
The feeling you get when you come in here, like it's friendly feeling.
It is.
Because it could feel super industrial or just like, come in, buy a tractor and leave, but it feels like you could come here and hang out for a bit, maybe play a tune on the jukebox.
Exactly. I have quite a few guys that have bought tractors have actually become really good friends of mine. It's that family value that we have at our core and that we put into everything that we do. For every attachment that we carry, we're vetting them to make sure they're making a really good product, but they're also good people. We align ourselves with a lot of companies that also stand behind their products and are steadfast in favor of things like the right to repair and making sure that the customer at the end of the day is taken care of, because that's more valuable than a $20 piece, is knowing that the customer's happy and is having a good experience with their machine. So we like making sure that all of our attachment brands are also phenomenal companies to deal with. 90% of our attachments are made in Canada, with Canadian companies like Wallenstein and MK Martin and HLA and you name it. They're also family businesses in most cases. They're all phenomenal to work with.
Well, when I need a tractor, I know where I'm coming.
Awesome. Well, we'd be happy to have you. That's for sure.
Thanks a lot for your time today, Dylan.
Hey, I appreciate
really
it.
Good. You bet.